Hey everyone, welcome back. SV Math Teach here. Today I'm in my basement recording and we are beginning a small unit on transformations. Now transformations at their heart are taking an object, a two-dimensional object, and you could I suppose do it in three, but we're going to do two-dimensional objects. And what we're going to do is we're going to move that object in some way to a new location. Now and our job in this unit is to describe how that object has been moved. Now, the objects can be moved in a variety of different ways. They can be rotated, they can be flipped. I can't do flipping on my iPad. They can change size, they can get bigger or smaller, and they could move up, down, left, or right. So we're going to talk about all of those different things. Specifically today, we're going to talk about the first one. And the first movement is going to be, in my opinion, the simplest movement. It's going to be the movement we call a translation. And that is simply a movement. Now, the idea behind translation is this. If you have, let's erase this. If you have an original starting shape, all right, normally indicated with some letters either inside of the shape, or sometimes you'll see letters like on the outside of the shape labeling the vertices, like rectangle ABCD. That's going to be how you know where the start is. Do you see this little symbol right here? That's called a prime. So we would call this a prime. And normally the primes are going to be your endpoints or your in-between movements, but that's not going to be your starting point. So start where there's no primes, like this, and end where there are primes, like that. And that's how you can identify where to start and finish if they don't tell you directly. Now with that in mind, your job in a problem like this one is to find how many movements did it take and in what direction did we move rectangle A to get to A prime. It's very simple. Pick a corner. I'm going to pick the upper left and pick the same upper left corner in your end position and then identify how much did you have to move and in what direction. So I'm going to go ahead and say that my A shape, I'm going to use the copy paste tool here. See if it'll let me do it. There we go. So I'm going to take my A shape and I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces to the right. Did I do that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces to the right, and 2, 1, 2 spaces down. And though mine's doubled up a little bit, do you get the idea that we moved it 5 to the right and 2 down? If that makes sense to you, then that's your translation. If you were going to describe the movement that got us from A to A prime, right from the start to the finish, we would simply say we translated 5 right and 2 down. And for what it's worth, it shouldn't surprise you that if we took the 2 down and the 5 right and we mixed them around a little bit, that wouldn't change anything. We could go ahead and say this was a translation 2 down and 5 to the right. So start where you start, end where you end, and the key component is make sure, like I did with the pink dot in the upper left-hand corner, you're comparing the same point on the original object to the same point on the ending object. That's it. That's translation.